You can live a very comfortable life being an employee. It is possible. I've seen it. Okay?
Yes.
But you need to know how to invest. I'm not trying to brag or whatever. I opened a Singapore bank account when I was 18 years old. So can you imagine if I saved in Singapore Sing dollars since I was 18 years old. And what is the exchange rate today? I just made from the currency appreciation. Maybe you can diversify. You can save in Sing, British pounds, US dollars. Even though you don't know anything about investing, you just remember hard currency, full stop. You will never lose. I'll chop my head if you tell me in 20 years you lost money doing this. I refund for you.
Today in the studio, we have with us a special guest, Christy Ng. Now, even if you do not recognize the face, you have probably seen the bags and the shoes and their shops in the malls. So, Christy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm so glad. I'm so honored to be here.
So, Christy, maybe it's time that we get to know the person behind the brand a little bit. Could you give us a little bit introduction about yourself? How do you get into this industry and what do you do exactly right now? Do you still design the shoes yourself and stuff like that?
I did a degree in biotechnology, nothing to do with shoes.
Biotechnology.
I majored in plants. I worked in a lab and then in a pharmaceutical company. So I have no experience in fashion, I have no experience in business or finance, zero. So I'm doing something totally unrelated to what I was trained for.
Yeah.
Yes, it's all out of passion because it's something I love.
So how do you went from biotech to shoes?
It's quite an interesting journey. It's basically I just followed my dreams. This is something that I love to do so much. I love fashion. I love footwear. I love shoes. So I just figured that if you do what you love, it's as if not having to work another day of your life. So that's my mantra in life. And it's when you're passionate about something, you have the conviction to keep doing it, and that's what I did. Yeah.
Right. So when you first started venturing into this fashion industry, right? We all know that in Malaysia, building own brand, it's not that common. I mean, if you're in US, probably slightly more common, but in Malaysia, it's not that common, right? Were there anyone who actually kind of challenged this idea and say, hey, Christy, are you crazy? Maybe you should have just stayed in biotech, right? You could have at least have a stable job, everything all. You're taking a lot of risks doing something that is totally unknown and not many people has tried before, right?
Yeah, before I started, my aunt, my mom's younger sister said to her, your daughter confirmed bankrupt. No way on earth she will succeed. This is such an outrageous idea. Because when I started, I was only selling high heel shoes because I love high heels. I sold high heel shoes online and on a blog store, on some blog spot that I did myself. I built myself. I just installed like a plug-in for a very basic shopping cart, and that's how I started selling my shoes. Right. So my aunt told my mom, this is completely outrageous. No one on planet Earth would buy high heel shoes online. Shoes is a category of products that you need to try before you buy, and no one shops online. We're talking about 2020, pre-2012, pre-Facebook era, probably like 2010, 2011 era.
I totally remember those days.
Yes. So she felt it was so outrageous, and I didn't have the experience. And I come from very humble beginnings. My dad washes air conditioners for a living. My mom's just a housewife. We don't come from money, So most people during my time, I think until now, people who start a business at a very young age, most of them, they have some form of financial safety net from their parents or something like that. I had zero financial safety net, and I had zero like pharma bank account. Pharma means father mother bank account. That didn't exist for me. I was just very bold and very crazy. I was just very bold and very brave in a way because I felt that I had nothing to lose. When you have nothing to lose, you'll be very brave. So I say it can't get worse than whatever. It can't get worse than whatever is happening to me now. So just do it. Fail. It can't be that bad, right? So that's how I started, because I had nothing to lose, and I didn't care what people say about me. I didn't care what my auntie thought. I didn't care what my friends think. My friends were rather supportive. They were the ones that actually suggested I call the brand Christy Ng, because I was the one that was designing it at the early stage. I oversee the design process now, but I'm not. We have a very, very capable art director and a very, very capable design team doing it now. My role is more overseeing.
Today you're more towards managing the business.
Yeah, it's more passive now. Yeah. It's been a decade. It's been an amazing journey. Lots of ups and downs, blood, sweat and tears. I'm more into I'm overseeing the business more on the strategic side, more on the macro side of things, like where do we hit next? Where do we open next, or which markets do we go into? I'm very proud to say that we penetrated cross-border, which is very unusual for a Malaysian brand. Most Malaysian brands, they just succeed within Malaysia. But we are one of the very few who have, I would say we do have very good traction in neighboring countries such as Philippines and Indonesia.
Yep.
And that has given us a lot of confidence, that we can actually take our brand globally.
Wow.
We actually have what it takes, because our brand is very well received by just two neighboring countries, good enough.
Right.
Singapore, very definitely. A lot of Filipinos and Indonesians, they buy our brand every single day.
Wow.
That's why we need such a big warehouse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that explains. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, today's topic, we're going to talk about this very interesting one, which is Malaysians are struggling to save financially in 2024, right?
Yes.
And we thought it would be a very interesting perspective to have you here because, like you say, you did not come from a family with money.
Yes.
You have gone through that path of working for people,
Yes.
subsequently starting your own business, and then building a successful career out of it, right? Yeah. So what are your thoughts about this for normal Malaysians? Because you've been through all the spectrum from a family of humble beginnings, from struggling into work yourself, to struggling as an entrepreneur, to today making a name for yourself and success, right? And what are your thoughts about it? Do you think Malaysians are really still struggling to save, and why if they are struggling?
Yeah, I would say that Malaysians are struggling to save because of a few reasons. I think the cost of living is pretty is increasing, due to inflationary pressures. Especially like the past since 2022, we've seen the Fed hike interest rates so aggressively. This is the most aggressive interest rate hike in the past, I would say, the past decade. Yeah. So because of that very steep inflationary pressure, everything has gone up in price, price of fuel, commodities, things like simple thing like food, petrol, when it just cascades into like the daily essentials, the price increase, and that and all this little bit of increase, when you add up, it's a lot. So when you cumulatively, it becomes, instead of spending $10 a day, you end up spending 13 or 14 ringgit a day. So it's become very, very expensive. So that's one of the main reasons, because cost of essentials are going up.
Yep.
And secondly, I would say the wage increase has not been really good. Yeah, I would, although I try, as an employer, I try to ensure that my people get paid, my people get paid enough to at least offset all this inflationary pressure, because it's a lot of stress, having to take care of a family with all this, all the daily essentials increasing. So I say wages is an issue. We have not increased wages fast enough. The cost of goods cost of essentials increase faster than salary. So I think that's the main reason why Malaysians are finding it very hard to save. Not just in Malaysia, at every country around the world, same thing.
That's right. Yeah, I totally see that as well, right? Yeah. When we're looking at the people who are struggling to save, right, there's actually two kind of category usually when I look at it. There's the first group of people who I think they just don't earn enough to save.
Correct.
Right? And they are very they're really struggling because of this inflations and stuff. But we also have the other group of people who are actually earning quite well, but they're just not saving for personal reasons, or discipline issues and so on, right? Again, you've also seen at both spectrum. I'm not saying that you don't save, but I'm saying that you have sit on both sides. From on one end, coming from a background where looking for money is a problem, to today it's about managing your money well, right?
Yes.
So let's go deep dive into it a little bit, right? Now, from those days, when you started a career and you were thinking about building a fashion business and stuff like that, and just like you said, you didn't have parent support, right? How do you manage the finance to make sure that you are sustainable, while at the same time not make your parents worry, while at the same time to have the opportunity to fight for your business? How do you manage all that?
You have to be extremely resourceful. Where there's a will, there's a way, So the first thing I did was I applied for lots of government grants.
Oh.
Actually, Malaysia's a wonderful country. Yeah, a lot of people do not know it, so I'm going to share it. There's so many grants and funds that you can apply to support your new startup business. Even more so for for newborn businesses. So the first, I applied for a Cradle grant, the Cradle CIP 500 grant in 2015 by the Ministry of Finance. They have this government agency called Cradle. So they support technology-driven businesses. So I've got a 500,000 ringgit grant from them. So that was one of my early... I started this business with 10,000 ringgit. Okay, it's really, it's not enough at all. So a ex-schoolmate of mine said, hey, why don't you join the Alliance Bank Bismart Challenge? It was in 2013. They had this, it was like the American Idol of businesses. So all you need to do is go there and pitch your business idea, 10 minutes. And if you win, you get 250,000 ringgit. I said, well, why not? But I've never pitched before. So I went to YouTube, I watched Shark Tank, and I just copied it. Like, Shark Tank, how they pitch to the sharks, what kind of questions did the sharks ask the contestants? I've never pitched in my life. I have zero. So I believe that just like I had no experience starting a business. I YouTubed it. I Googled my way through my business. That's how I survived. So I after watching how they pitch in Shark Tank, I write my own script. Then I practiced in front of the mirror. And I practiced in front of my friends until they felt that. Then after that, I pitched and I won the grand prize. So I had 250,000. So with that cash, I actually built a proper e-commerce website. So from $10,000, I got 250K. No need to pay back cash prize money. Then the subsequent year, 2015, I got the Cradle grant, which was 500,000, and that I used that money for commercialization. So I used the money to buy to advertise aggressively on Facebook, Google, and stuff like that. So, and then after that, I had a grant from Martrade for, to build my export business. I think it was a 200,000 ringgit grant, I'm not mistaken, from Martrade. And I also had a grant from SME Corp, the BAP 2.0 grant, which was up 400,000 ringgit.
Oh, wow.
So Malaysia is full of opportunity. Malaysia is
grants.
Exactly. You just need to go and apply. So if you have no money, don't let that deter you. Okay, money is not a reason. Lack of funds should not be a reason that which stopping you from pursuing your dreams. There's just so much resources, and until now, we're still applying for grants whenever there's a relevant grant relevant to the project that we want to undergo. We're still applying even at this stage.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's very true, right? For me, when I look at this subject about saving, I like to be a little bit naughty, right? Because a lot of people like to talk about budgeting and everything all. My personal opinion is that there's only that much you can budget.
Yes.
Yeah. The best way to actually solve the problem is actually by earning more.
Correct.
Yeah. And you can either look for another employment or either you can do some side hustle like maybe Grab, whatnot, right?
Okay.
But I guess in the Asian context in Malaysia, right? I don't know about you, but myself, we always hear this thing that people say, right? 工资不出头 in Chinese.
I understand.
Yeah, which means that ultimately you want to start your own business. That's the best way to actually make money. A lot of people think that way. Now, definitely after you start, then we realize that, it's not that simple. It's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
But the point here that I want to bring out is this, right? If you can't budget anymore, the best way is just to earn more.
Correct.
And just like what Christy said, don't think that if you want to start a business, you need a lot of money to start. You literally took out all your savings, right? The 10K.
It was just 10,000 ringgit.
Yeah,
most of you
here
have more money than I had when I started my business. Seriously.
That's right. You were just resourceful. And today I think it's a beautiful world. There's tech. We can actually just Google our way through like what you did, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know a big tip you can live a very comfortable life being an employee. It is possible. I've seen it. Okay.
Yes.
But you need to know how to invest. You need to make sure your money works for you, even though when you're sleeping, when you're in the toilet, or when you're bathing, or whatever you're driving, your money is working for you. This is something you need to understand. You need to understand the way of money. Okay, so I don't know why. Maybe I'm smart or lucky, or I don't know lah. I'm not trying to brag or whatever. I opened a Singapore bank account when I was 18 years old. So can you imagine if I saved in Singapore Sing dollars since I was 18 years old, and at that time the exchange rate was like 2.3 or 2.4. And what is the exchange rate today? So I just made from the currency appreciation, the Sing dollar currency appreciation. Because I was from Johor. I was born in Kluang, Johor, a small little town. So I had a very interesting conversation with a hawker. So she said, he said to me, I'm saving to send my kid overseas to study. And my kid, if I have saved, he saved about 200,000 ringgit for his kid to go and study, his whole life savings, And he said, if I had saved just across the road, in Singapore, my 200,000 would have been a lot more. But because I saved it, I didn't move it to a hard currency. Because I'm unable to, the ringgit has weakened significantly if you compare it to the Sing dollar. So he said if I've saved in Sing dollar or in the US dollar or euros for that matter, any hard currency, I will be able to comfortably pay for my child's education. But because he did not save in foreign currency, he just saved in ringgit. You can see the huge gap after 20 years.
Yeah.
So I knew from the onset that I have to move my savings into hard currency.
Wow, that was when you were 18 years old.
18 years old, yeah. I had a Singapore bank account. Now it's very difficult to open Singapore bank account, but I think Maybank allows it. You can do it without having to go to Singapore physically. So I would advise everybody to save a very small portion of your income in Sing dollars, okay? Or any hard currency. Maybe you can diversify. You can save in Sing, British pounds, US dollars, and but now is not a good time to go into US dollars. You should wait for the Fed to start cutting interest rates, and that's when the US dollar will drop, and that's when you start buying US dollars. So you need to diversify. Don't keep all your money in ringgit. Malaysia is a great country, but when it comes to investing, you need to know what is diversification. You need to have a very defensive portfolio of like currency. You put all in fixed deposit or money market. Earn that overnight rest. That's what we do. Even my company, we keep hard currency, and we make sure that it's all in like money market or fixed deposit. We make sure our money is working when we are sleeping. So we make on currency and we make on interest. So it's two things. So I just advise you, this one you cannot go wrong one. You close eye so you'll never get this wrong. Even though you don't know anything about investing, you just remember hard currency, full stop. You will never lose. I'll chop my head if you tell me in 20 years you lost money doing this. I refund for you. Correct?
Yeah, but true lah.
Yes.
You won't need to chop your head lah.
It's a journey. You don't expect, if you want to get rich overnight, it's impossible. It is a journey. You need to be very disciplined. Yeah.
Now, so I want to tackle on this subject a little bit, right? For many Malaysians who are struggling to save, there's this issue there, right? Sometimes Malaysians do tend to think like, if I can't save that much, it's so little money, might as well I just don't save lah. So what are your thoughts about it? Should you still save even if by the month end it's just 10 ringgit?
Okay. I think if that's the case, you should look into increasing your income and also cutting your expense. Maybe go through your expenses and see what is totally unnecessary and what is redundant, which you can sort of like trim. But don't trim until you suffer like mad, Trim something that's redundant or and maybe try to earn a little bit more and also know how to invest. So investing is a journey, and you need to understand the power of compounding interest.
That's right.
Compounding interest is crazy. It's a lot. In the beginning, you don't see it, but after a period of 10 years, 20, 15 years, you can see the huge gap.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
need to be disciplined. Yeah. So I think it's a combination of, to answer your question, it's a combination of increasing your income, reducing certain unnecessary expense, and also learning how to invest your money in a very defensive manner. For instance, another defensive way besides moving to hard currency is to invest in really, really good companies, buy really, really good dividend paying stocks. Okay. So for that, I would advise you to do once the Fed start cutting interest rates. So once once interest rates go down, okay, technically, according to school book, technically, historically, share prices will start to rally. So, so maybe you should buy now, okay, when interest rates are high, because the prices have been severely compressed. And buy good dividend-paying stocks which pay you good dividend every year. If you can buy in hard currency, those stocks, which pay you dividend in hard currency every year. So that is a really good defensive portfolio. Like some stocks, right, they pay like maybe 8%. There are some stocks are 8% dividend or 9%. Some also 10% they are, okay? And if you count in a period of 10 years, you literally got the stock for free. Mathematically speaking, you know, as long as you buy companies which have strong fundamentals, you know, good management, you know, and they're very, very severely undervalued, like the PE, very, very low PE, like very underpriced companies. So hidden gems, try look for hidden gems, and which are underpriced and really good company, good future, good business model, well run. Buy and then they pay you good dividend. And buy all these kind of like small little amazing companies in dividend in hard currencies, compile like a portfolio,
Right.
and that would be your retirement. This is theory, it's a lot more complicated than what I say, but I'm just giving you a general idea, you know. Like example, if you buy banks in Malaysia, like you buy Maybank, very hard to go wrong. Of course, I'm not an investment professional. I'm not qualified to give advice. But I'm just saying, you buy, let's say if you bought Apple, like, or you buy Maybank, you know, the dividends are so good. So I think the idea is to diversify. You have like a strong fixed deposit savings and hard currency, and you do take a little bit risk. You know, maybe 20 or 30% of your portfolio should be in good dividend paying stocks, like example, Bank A, Bank B, Bank C, something like that, you know.
No. So that was very good advice, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, you still have to invest once you have the money.
Yes,
but if
yes.
let's say you're struggling with savings, you should be actually thinking about increasing your income.
Yes.
Now, I want to move on to the next part of this conversation, right? Which is, we talked about struggling as someone who is working and then someone who was building a business. But you also had a chapter where you actually struggled also during COVID.
Yes.
There was a time that was hard for many, many Malaysians. And recall during that period of time, many people had to withdraw money from EPF, businesses failed, people went from M40 to B40, some went from T20 to M40, or even straight down to B40.
T20 to P40 a lot.
Also got, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and you yourself during that time, you also struggled as well. I
Yes.
recall during that time, I saw some of your social media posts talking about how difficult was it. Yeah. And so how was that time for you? How did the whole COVID affected you?
I think that was the plight of every single SME, you know. We were suffering because we were forced to close. We had a lot of fixed costs, rentals, utilities that still needs to be paid, you know, wages. And I had stores at most of the major malls in Klang Valley, and rentals are not low, you know. Yeah. And then so I guess it was a period of of extreme uncertainty, so I was very afraid. Okay, when I started my business, I did e-commerce. Not because I knew that e-commerce would be the way of the future. It was just because I had no money. I didn't start e-commerce because I had a crystal ball which told me that e-commerce would be the way of the future. I started running this shoe business as an e-commerce website because I didn't have funds. And that was the only way I could, you know, have a store that would operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Because to set up a retail store at a shopping mall, a major shopping mall, to give you an idea, right? If it's a proper store, it's not a kiosk, you need at least $500,000 to do something like...
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
it's not cheap. It's
and
not
how
cheap.
much does it cost to sustain the store? Like just overhead cost for the structure without staff, right?
Oh, just the rental?
Yeah, just rental.
It will really depend on which mall, which location, which floor, and the square feet, the total size.
Right.
So if you're talking about like a mall, like the really A-grade mall and a really good location, we're talking about 40 to 50,000 at least.
Ooh.
If you get a really super prime lot, it can be like 70 to 80,000 a month, rental alone. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when the minute you're close, it's really expensive, and it really depends if you're on the prime area of the mall. So the rental can range from like 10,000 ringgit a month to like 100,000.
Right.
Depending
All depends
on
the size,
location.
the location and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I started e-commerce, because I had no funds, and then during COVID, I had to close all my stores. But that was when e-commerce boomed during So that's the beauty about, I talk about diversification in your personal portfolio when you save money. In business, it's also important to diversify, just like with your personal savings. So I have the e-commerce element, which contributes to, I would say, 60 to 70% of our business today. And we have the retail, which is about 30 to 40% of our business. So we're actually quite diversified. This is the ratio post-COVID. Pre-COVID, it was more like 50-50. Yeah. So, but the minute all the physical stores were forced to close, the customers who were buying from our physical stores, they were already comfortable with the brand. They already were familiar.
Yeah.
So they just bought online. They knew their shoe sizes. They knew the quality and the level of a product. They know They trusted our brand. So it was a no-brainer for them to just buy online. It was just a switch in purchase, in which channel they purchase.
Right.
So during COVID, consumer purchasing behavior, everyone moved to e-commerce. So, a lot of e-commerce brands boomed during COVID. A lot of brick and mortar traditional brick and mortar who did not have e-commerce stores, they suffered. And those who just start their e-commerce store during the pandemic, too late. Very, very hard to catch up.
That's
but
right.
yeah, but if you have started like 5 years pre-pandemic, you have reaped the rewards. So it's right place, right time. So we grew 400% during COVID.
Wow.
From e-commerce. And I think the beauty about e-commerce, about COVID is, in every adversity, there's always opportunity. And during that period, we had a sharp increase of purchases from countries like Singapore, Indonesia, and Philippines, because they were also locked down in their own homes, and they were bored. And they were more adventurous, and they wanted to try brands which were not available in their country.
Yep. Since I'm going to buy online anyway.
Yes.
Right.
And of course, the usage of social media is so crucial. So I think we're pretty active on social media, and I think some of our products they've seen videos of their friends or maybe videos of other customers using our products on TikTok or Instagram, and then they felt, okay, this brand is genuine, it's legitimate, so they just try. They buy 1 or 2 pieces, and then they like the quality, and then they come back and buy more and more and more, and it sort of snowball. So I think COVID was the start of a very strong international distribution for us. We started to sell a lot to end consumers, B2C. During pandemic. So when one door closes, another door opens. So I would say that most brands who had e-commerce 5 years before the pandemic, they did really well.
Yeah. So I think one of the beauty about this whole thing that you shared, right, is the fact that when you make sure that you diversify and the right time comes, you will reap the rewards, right?
Yes.
And that's the beauty of the investment part. Now, on the other hand as well, we are sitting in the day and age of technology where it trumps. And these days it's all about being online. It's all about digital, right? And how do you think the whole digital finance, right, made it more convenient for people to take opportunity of things? Because I recall during that time, you were mentioning you started a blog and then after you install some stuff. But today it's so much more easier, right?
It's a lot easier and it's cheaper now.
Yeah. So how do you think that consumers today or people who are interested in starting a business or just anyone can make use of all these different kind of digital facility to help them make more money or either save more, I guess?
All these tools are open to public. Anyone can just download and use them. It's just whether you have the effort to take the trouble to explore and learn. So I noticed one thing about people. Most people, they like to complain. They like to say, oh, it's so difficult. I don't have the chance. I don't have the exposure. You don't need exposure. You don't need chance. You just go online, you just Google Shopify, you download it.
You just need a handphone, right, AJ?
Yeah, actually, you just need a computer or a handphone. You don't even need anything, and a credit card. And it doesn't even cost you much. I'm not mistaken. A Shopify costs like maybe $20 US or $30 a month. Or lesser, I can't remember the price. It is so affordable, and you get everything.
Yeah.
You get tools which you can only dream of, and you don't have to think of what tools to use. It's all available on the Shopify app store. You just download. If you want to start an e-commerce business,
Not like last time, right? You had to hard code it.
Exactly.
Or you need to figure out to embed it.
Yes.
Today, you just plug in. Just
Correct.
click the button.
Exactly. So when I built my site in 2013, I struggled like mad. And I had to customize so many things because it was not readily available. There was no app store for me to download widgets or download apps. Let's say I want an app let's say I want to do my CRM, customer relationship management. I have to build it or I have to buy somewhere, third party, and plug in and blah, blah, blah. Now, no such thing. Go to Shopify App Store, download. It's just there. And you pay, and it's a SaaS model, software as a service. If you don't like the service, you can cut it, you can terminate it overnight. And there's no lengthy contracts. You're not locked down.
That's
During
right.
my time, they will lock you down, and you only know how bad they are until you use them. Now
That's
you have
right.
like a 30-day free trial. There's literally no more risk.
That's right. Yeah.
During my time, there was a lot of risk. Like when I want to do like email blasts, I had to go and meet a couple of vendors, and each of them will quote me different prices. I have to decide who I want to go with, and after I decide that guy turns out to be really rubbish, and then he ties me up with like a 1 month or 3 months notice to terminate. Now, no such thing. You can just plug and play. Everything
That's
is plug
right.
and play now.
That's right. So I think that's the benefit of living in today's age, right? The point I want to make here is this, right? While many people are struggling today, but actually the truth also, there are many opportunities out there.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you're willing to spend a little bit more time and yes, grind through it a little bit harder, there is a silver lining there,
Yes.
right? Yeah, we're not saying that it's easy, but there is a way,
Yes.
right? Yeah, but it requires a lot of sweat and tears. Yeah.
I wouldn't say a lot, just with a little, you'll be able to be comfortable. But if you want to be really, really comfortable, if starting a business is difficult, it's more challenging. But if you just want a side hustle, or you just want to save and invest, or you just want to live maybe
Simple life,
a more,
comfortable.
I would say a more comfortable life than you're having now, it is very, very doable without much sweat. That's
true.
what I would say.
That's true.
Yes.
Actually, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
If you want to make it big, then yes, a whole different story.
Yes.
But if you just want some extra, like few thousand a
Comfort.
month, it's not too much of
It's
sweat and
doable.
tears.
Even I asked my friend who does Grab. It's easily a $2,000 to $3,000 extra income just by doing Grab. So Grab is one way of earning side income, but there's so many other ways as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Malaysians are not being paid well enough. What are your thoughts about this? Because you're sitting in an interesting position. You yourself have been an employee before, and today you are a business owner where you employ quite a number of people, right?
Yes.
So, and a lot of people always complain, right? I'm not being paid well enough. What are your thoughts on this?
I would say that I do whatever they're saying is definitely true. Most Malaysians are not being paid enough, but at the same time, I think that every employer wants to pay you more. There is a misconception that employers want to keep money for themselves, but the truth is, I can't keep the money, take the money to my grave. I'm very happy to pay for results, for performance. So every employer is willing to pay you much more than whatever you're earning if you can deliver results.
Right.
You
Yeah.
must be able to deliver tangible results. Then you will be paid a lot better.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think I encourage you to have this conversation with your employer. Maybe ask your employer, be very straightforward, don't take things personally. Ask your employer, okay, what can I do to be paid more? It's a very simple question. Have like a heart-to-heart, open conversation. Okay, like give you an example. I have a very amazing person who has been with me for 10 years. I give you like 2 or 3 case studies to give you an idea how you can actually get paid more from your boss. When this person was employed by me many years ago, she was just a graphic designer. But today she is my art director.
Oh, wow.
Okay, can you see the difference in job responsibilities?
Wow.
When she came in, she was just doing banners for me. But now she is designing handbags and shoes. And that is making bank for us. So if you are able to deliver sales performance, deliver tangible results, you will be paid like 30, 40 times higher than whatever or so many more times higher than whatever you will be making. So the salary has gone up like crazy.
That's right.
You need to deliver. You need to add value. You can't come in as a graphic designer and then 10 years later you're still graphic designer and you want your boss to pay you 10 times higher. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Another example, I have an admin, came in as my personal assistant. Just answer phone, plan my schedule and stuff like that. Today, she's the head of merchandising. She decides what to buy, what products we should sell, what products go on the shelf, where do we buy our raw materials, which suppliers do we use for certain materials and stuff like that, for certain parts of the components or certain part of the products. So definitely her salary, no-brainer, has gone up from like a personal assistant pay to a head of merchandising. And she didn't have the qualification because I believe in giving everyone a chance. I myself do not have qualification to be a fashion designer or a business owner. I studied biotechnology. But I believe that if everyone given a chance to learn, they can excel. So another example, I have a promoter. From one of my retail store promoter. He joined me in 2016 or 2015, somewhere around there. Now he's the head of retail.
Wow.
So definitely the salary has gone up like way higher than wherever he started. And the bonuses are great. We pay based on performance. When you hit target, we pay higher bonuses than banks. We are I'm very proud to say that, yes, because he performed, he delivered results. When I give him a target, he always exceeds the target I give him. So I have no excuse to underpay him or pay him less. I only have to pay him more than whatever was contractually agreed upon.
That's right.
So you know what? You need to work. The secret to getting very high pay is actually not to have like a side hustle and stuff like that. To be frank,
Yes.
Speak to your boss or your employer and discuss how you can help the company make more money. And then it's a no-brainer. If you can help the company make more money, your boss will be so scared to lose you, man. Beg you not to leave, pay you more.
Totally agree.
Seriously, bosses are also beggars. We also want people who can perform. If you can perform, I'll beg you, please don't go. You need to be indispensable. Make yourself indispensable. So I have another girl. Just a example, an intern. Intern. She became my TikTok live host, but she performs every month. She hits her target. Of course, she gets bonus every quarter because she hits her sales target, So, okay, I also have special bonuses in place for operational people or my finance people. Say when you help a company save more money, your bonus is higher. That sort of thing. So I have some kind of like a performance KPI driven way, a tangible way to measure people's performance. So these are just some examples. So example, my HR, because some of the examples I give are you can say are very sales driven, but what if you're a back office or you're operational person? Then how do you help the company, instead of being a cost center, how can you be a profit center? That's when your boss will pay you more and more and more. It will not follow the job street scale. We don't follow job street salary recommendation. We don't follow that one. We go by how much you can do. It's very fair. And we don't care about your age. We don't care about your qualification. We don't care about wherever you come from. You can perform, you get everything.
That's right. It's all about results, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So to be fair, I hope nobody kills me for saying this, but if you need to have the courage to have this discussion, and you must also understand if you're paid, ask why. But if you are really, really doing well and you're not being rewarded, you should also talk to your employer. Because when you think you're doing well, you must also understand what's your employer's definition of well.
Yes.
To make sure that you're aligned.
Yeah,
but it's important.
your well and his well is totally different as well.
Good and your employer's good, it might be different. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the one gem here, right, that you mentioned, that I thought was really, really true. Me as an employer myself, we would love to pay our staff more.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think
in a heartbeat.
Yes, I would pay you anytime. And in fact, if you watch my video before, I talked about management before, and we actually do pay our staff quite okay, right? And we also give quite a good bonus, but on one condition, you perform lah.
Yes.
And we'll list down those performance very, very clearly. Yeah, so you know exactly why you do well, why you don't. And now, I guess that is because our company tend to do that. Yeah, I know there are certain bosses who actually don't list all this down. Everything is in their head. Now, so it's your responsibility as an employee, maybe it's a new company, young or something, right? As an employee, it's good that you go and talk to your boss. And I think one thing Christy said that was really good. If you do not know what to ask, just ask the boss. How can I help you to make more money in my role?
They will never get angry asking this question. They'll be very happy. They will sit you down for hours.
Yeah, they may joke with you, say, hey, why you all do sales for me and that kind of thing. But you need to persist a bit lah. If you don't take you seriously, because you also have to understand, right, as a boss, a lot of people ask you this kind of question. I also want to know whether when you're asking me, you're genuine or not. So when you go to your boss, I say, hey, what can I do to improve myself and in the process make you more money, right? I think number one, your boss will be very happy.
Yes.
Yeah, and then he'll give you the opportunity and hopefully you go. Yes, if let's say the boss doesn't appreciate you, that's a whole different story, right? But if the person appreciates you, you have a chance there. Now, when it comes to that, right, you've seen many of these kind of cases. Yeah. What are some of the common traits that you see in these people who tend to be able to make use of such opportunity and grow into a role? Because you've seen so many, right? I bet there are also people who came to you, but end of the day, they didn't make it.
Yes.
So what are some of those qualities that these few people share commonly for those audience out there who are thinking, yes, maybe I shouldn't be doing a part-time job, but I should be focusing on my current career to build it, to make it higher pay?
Just remember, it is a win-win kind of situation. It is a collaboration. It is a partnership between you and your employer. It doesn't mean your employer is your boss means you need to follow everything your boss says. People like for me, I appreciate people who tell me, who challenge my status quo, challenge my thinking in a very positive manner. And you just remember, it's a collaboration. It is a partnership more than anything else. You guys, it's like if both of you and your employer can work hand in hand and to achieve greater success, win-win for both parties, I can be certain that you will be paid a lot better. If your employer doesn't do that for you, please apply for a job at Christy Ng. We will take you. We will take you on the spot. You can just apply with me. My email's on my Instagram. Just write to me directly, and I will hire you on the spot.
Okay, going back to that, then is there any traits like, for example, they are more maybe like they are more tenacity that you see in them, or they are more humble? Is there anything that you see as a common trait?
Yeah, okay. You don't need to be the smartest person. I'm not the smartest person, but you just need to have the tenacity, grit, resilience. Never give up. I know this sounds damn cliche, but it's really all that there is. People give up too easily, and the most important thing, the ability to continuously learn and self-improve. To evolve and make better yourself. The thirst for knowledge is very, very important.
That's right.
If you thirst for knowledge, I believe that you will excel to much greater heights. So I think constantly evolving by self-improving yourself, like learning skills that you do not know, gaining more knowledge than you had before. I think the biggest challenge is being a better version of yourself than you were the day before. So that's if you stick to that mindset, you always constantly improve, and when you improve yourself, that also equates to improved in income. Like every time I learn a new language or every time I learn a new skill, I see my income increase. This is a fact. I know some people ask me, how do you measure you can speak an extra language? How does that increase your bottom line? It does. Every single skill you learn increases your ability to earn.
Wow.
Because it increases your knowledge. And communication is very important as well. And knowledge, skills. Yeah. So I learned a lot of random skills along the way. And that has indeed increased my net worth.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, I agree that I think for me, myself as well, when I look at my employees, and it just reminds me of the kind of people that we want to look for. Sometimes what we are not looking for the smartest guy in the room. We are not looking for the person who can give us the right answer. We are actually looking for people who will keep asking questions, but not asking the same question for the next 1 year. Every time that question will evolve, it means whatever that you ask, you've already learned, and then now you evolve to a new question that is being asked. So every time when I see you're asking a new question that's a level up, it tells me that you can adapt and you can learn.
Yes.
And that is more important than you being smart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because ultimately we know one thing as a employer is that roles always change.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So because I speak to a lot of retailers, like the ones that run traditional mom and pop store, just brick and mortar, they are unable to evolve and do e-commerce because, some of them is maybe because of a language challenge, especially within the Chinese community, because some of them do not speak English. So they find it very difficult to grasp new technology. So that's where they start getting left behind. I didn't grow up in the TikTok era. TikTok I only started playing TikTok, I think, COVID.
Yep.
And I was not active at all. And in 2022, we started getting serious about it. And we are doing extremely well on TikTok Shop. And so for a person who only started using TikTok during COVID and being active in 2022, our growth trajectory has been crazy, So what I'm trying to share here is I myself evolve, from selling on a blog store, I evolved to have a proper website, and then a better proper website, and then I evolved to having brick and mortar, and I also evolved to selling on marketplaces and TikTok store and using social media to attract more audiences. And most of my friends, my age group, right, we do not have TikTok, but I really go out of my comfort zone. I go and mix with all I won't say kids lah, the Gen Zs,
crowd, right?
Gen Zs, and I learn from them, and that's how and that to me is power. That to me, and knowledge is power, and power is money.
Wow, that's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah. So finally, just one last word to the audience who are thinking about saving to get out of that struggling to save mode and to be able to start saving and make a better living for themselves. If there's only one sentence that you can share with them as a final takeaway, what will that be?
I think you have to re-look into your expenses and your earnings and do a bit of restructuring. Okay, just now, it's a bit long, but I just refinanced all the properties that I own because I got a much lower interest rate. So things like that, I don't refinancing your house at a much lower rate. I think that is financial literacy. Comparing interest rates, comparing which fixed deposit gives you more interest, or which all these small percentage, right, is a lot of money when it's compounded. So I think restructure and relook into your finances, very important, and financial literacy is key.
Thank you very much, Christy. So, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode today. If you have anything to share with us, do leave it in the comments. So, thank you, Christy.
Thank you so much.